Hey everybody, welcome back to Travel Trailer Nation. Today I wanted to talk to you about the 3-3-3 rule, and maybe you've heard of this before. I don't know if I'd really call it a rule, but that's what people refer to it as. Maybe it's a 3-3-3 suggestion for time spent en route on the way to your destination. So if you haven't heard of it, I'm going to step through it, so if anyone ever mentions it to you, at least you know what they're referring to. The 3-3-3 rule is, well, there's a couple variations, so let me start there. So let's go through the basic concept of each one, and then as we break them down, I'll talk to you about how people have basically taken one rule and then added kind of a variation onto the end as a substitute. So broadly as an overview, number one is travel no more than 300 miles a day or 3 hours a day. That's the sub. The second one is arrive at your daily destination by 3 p.m. And the third is to stay 3 days at each stop. And the substitute or variation to that is at least take 3 days off per week. So let's step through each one. Okay, number one, travel no more than 300 miles a day. This might be the best advice out of all three of these, because when you drive long distances, and let's face it, 300 miles a day is going to be 6 hours probably. If you have a dog, it's going to be longer. If you stay close to 300 miles or less, it should allow the travel to be a little less stressful, and you won't feel so rushed to get to your next destination. I have to admit that when we traveled as a family, I did a lot more than 300 miles in a day, often coached on by my daughter, who would say, let's pull an all-nighter, which she was never up for that. I was the only one driving. So, I mean, when I was younger, yes, I put on more than that. Now, I would say 300 miles. I don't like going over that. I will occasionally be pushing 320 or something like that, but that's just a long time to travel. And it's about all I really want to do, especially with Eva, because, I'm conscientious about getting her out, and usually at every fuel stop, she takes a break. Sometimes we're driving along the highway and we'll see a wayside and we'll say, hey, maybe we should spell her now, get her out. And we do that. And so our days are not just confined to the 300 miles from a time perspective. We have more things, more issues to deal with than that. So it makes for a long day. Now, the substitute on that one was some saying that they don't drive for any more than 3 hours a day. Well, if you're going a long distance, and let's just say that you were driving, well, we'll use our example. We drive from North Texas up to Wisconsin every year. If you're going to stop every 3 hours, that trip is going to take probably about 6 days for you to get there. And I just think that's not very realistic. I think you're going to be probably leaving one campground late and getting into the next campground very early. So while some people might find that's a relaxing way to drive, to me, I would find that to be agonizingly slow. So let's go on to the number two rule. Okay, the number two rule is arrive at your destination by 3 p.m. And I totally agree with this. Arriving later pushes you into a later setup, and then it gives you less time to unwind after being on the road. Even if you're not unhitching your vehicle, there's still quite a bit of time that it takes to get things situated in the trailer, get the puppy out, get your slides out, power's hooked up, all of that, water. Even when you stay hooked up, there's still quite a bit of time there. I like to get into camp about that time. Actually, I would love to be in a little bit earlier than that and then be able to unwind. Some people, maybe they combine 1 and 2 together and say, I'm going to be on the road for 300 miles and I want to hit that campground by 3 p.m. and that's a great approach. So let's talk about number 3, rule 3. All right, rule number 3 says stay at a location for at least 3 nights. And they're basically saying here at each stop, you should be there for 3 nights. This might be nice, but it's really pretty impractical. Obviously, staying somewhere for 3 days would be great as far as taking a break, but do you really have that kind of time when you're en route somewhere to take 3 days off? Again, like in our first example where I said it would be an awfully long trip to Wisconsin if we only drove 3 hours every day. This would be the same thing. It might even take longer. Probably take us, at least 9-10 days to get up there. I guess I could say 9 or 12. Just depends on how far we got. But I don't know that that's really practical. The sub to this, or the substitute that they will put in its place, is take 3 days off the road each week, and I totally agree with that. I think when you're driving somewhere constantly, even if it's just you're getting in early and you're there for a day and you're on the road again, a lot of that can lead to fatigue. And if you're not staying anywhere for a longer period of time, let's face it, the first day is kind of a throw-off day, right? You get there, you hook up, it's late in the day, that day's kind of shot. Then the next day is a free day, and then the third day is a toss-off day again, because now you're packing up and heading out. So, a 3-day stop would give you, 1 day to relax a week. So, I would say, while that's a good idea, and I agree that people need to get off the road for a period of time, 3 days is a little short in my mind for really unwinding. But it's better than constant travel, that's for sure. And then, of course, if you stay longer, you're going to be able to enjoy whatever sites are there. So if you go to a nice state park, visit the cities around it, find out what they have to offer, it makes the whole experience a lot more enjoyable. Summing these 3 rules up, really, common sense has to prevail. You know your limitations, and you should abide by them. If you're getting tired, you may endanger someone and yourself on the road. So you really have to pull over and take a break if you're feeling tired anytime while you're pulling that trailer. And when you plan your trip, make sure you're planning in advance and you're mapping out your stops so that they make sense from a perspective of, being fatigued. Because everybody wants to be safe. Everybody wants to travel safe. Don't put yourself under the gun where you have to drive an exorbitant amount of time and come into the campground at 10 p.m. at night and then try and somehow get refreshed before you get on the road again. Make sure that you find locations as you stop along the way that'll maximize your safe travel without leaving you feeling burned out. So I hope this is helpful. At least you'll know what people are talking about if they ever say to you, do you do the 3-3-3 rule? So until next time, happy camping.